Hi everyone, here's today's flipped lesson on assessments with technology for March 25th, 2015. First thing I want to talk to you about are the different types of assessment that we use in school. There are two main types, formative and summative. A formative assessment is used to check a student's progress. It usually is guiding, or it must be guiding, the next steps in instruction. Formative assessments and information must be fed forward into an instructional model that allows for responsiveness to student need. So the purpose of a formative assessment is to tell you as a teacher where you should go next. You need to work on this topic some more, or the students, have they mastered it and are ready to move on? Examples of formative assessments include projects and performances, writing assignments, tests and quizzes. And also just asking questions and having some sort of a way to get a response can be a formative assessment. Summative assessments aren't used as often as formative assessments. A summative assessment provides teachers and students with information about the attainment of knowledge. They often result in a grade, which means that they have a high point value. So for this one, you can think of your midterm or your final assessment. The goal is to evaluate student learning at the end of an instructional unit by comparing it against some sort of standard or benchmark. So are they achieving the standards or the benchmark set? Examples of these include a final project of some sort, a midterm paper or exam. Mainly in elementary schools where you'll see a summative assessment would be state and national tests. The reason these are summative and not formative is because we do not get the results of these until the next year. So they're definitely a summary of what the students have learned. The tests that you give throughout the year are usually formative because they inform your next moves as a teacher, your next moves as an instructor of where you should go. So one thing you need to be always considering when you're teaching is where is your lesson and where's your assessment according to Bloom's taxonomy model. This is kind of a revised, updated version of Bloom's taxonomy, which I really like. Let's go ahead and pause now and look at all of these different levels so that you know all of them. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the Common Core the Common Core standard assessments that your students are going to have to be taking. There are two main Common Core assessments. These are, again, summative assessments. One of them is the PARC, and I've linked the website here in the slideshow if you want to take a look at more details about it. The PARC stands for Partnership for Assessments of Readiness for College and Career. And down here is a link to take a sample of the PARC test so you can see what it's like. The other one is called Smarter Balance. It's a Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium. And down here is a link to take that test. What I'd like you to do today, and you can do it right now or you can wait and do it at the end, is I'd like you to take both of the sample tests, one of the PARC and one of the Smarter Balanced, and with those, and then you're going to reflect on those on the discussion board that's in Schoology. So you can click on this link and it'll take you to that discussion board. So take both of those and then reflect by completing this discussion board. What you're going to notice when you're on these assessments is that no longer are these assessments at this remembering or understanding level of taxonomy. They're now going to be up here at this evaluating, analyzing, maybe a little bit of creating, but definitely they have upped the ante quite a bit for formal assessments. Here are some different technology tools we can talk about. For lower level thinking, some good assessment tools would be Schoology. You can create quizzes in there that are multiple choice or fill in the blank or matching. You can also do discussion boards or assignments like you've been seeing. That's a great way to use formative assessment. Another thing you can do on lower level is just like you guys have done is create a blend space that has little quizzes in there, and that will just give you that quick feedback of whether they recall the information or not. Socrative is a great one for iPads. You can click here on that link and learn more about Socrative. Google Forms, of course, you can create different surveys, create different quizzes on Google Forms. And there's also an app called Bubble Sheet, which just gives the students A, B, C's answers, and you would project the questions in the class or give the students a sheet that has the questions on it, and they would give you the A, B, C. Once again, these are lower level. This is just when the students are going to be applying the knowledge. They aren't applying the knowledge. They're simply memorizing the knowledge and just giving it back to her, maybe doing some matching, but nothing that's analyzing, or maybe a little bit of applying, but not much. Some more, if you click on this more link right here, it'll show you lots of different technology tools for lower level thinking. Your assignment today will be to create one assessment that is a lower level thinking, and you can use any of these tools or any other online or technology tools to help you do that. And then the other assessment you're going to be making today is at a higher level thinking. So one way you can do that is just to have your students make a Google slideshow, which I'll show you an example of in a little bit. Another one is to create an iMovie, maybe telling a story from a different perspective or changing it up a little bit. Also, you could do Explain Everything. I'm going to show you a video using Explain Everything and how it can take a simple problem but really up it, because students having to explain why they've solved it the way that they have. Another way you can do this is a class blog. You can give them an assignment and they post it to the class blog so that everyone can see it. Also, Storybirds is a great one where they can actually write a story. So once again, you could change the perspective or change the theme of the story, change the point of view it's told in. You could have them create their own stories. Another way to use blend space but make it higher level is the students can actually create a blend space on a topic. So it could be a review topic and it's them teaching someone else, which is definitely raising that level of thinking. And then if you click here, there's going to be some more, and it's going to show you apps that are perfect for each level of Bloom's taxonomy. So that's a really cool link, so make sure you check that out. Okay, so here's an example assignment. It's an evaluation in math using Explain Everything that we're going to watch real quickly.
And since this is a negative, this variable is going to be turned into negative 11. And that concludes that problem. So the final answer is negative 11 plus 9 equals negative 2.
Okay, so the great thing you saw there is they were solving a basic math problem, but they were using the Explain Everything app to do that, and it really just ups the ante on it because it really has them explain and prove their reasoning of why they solved it the way that they did, and then you as a teacher can get a deeper insight to their thinking. So using Explain Everything app is a really easy way to really up the cognitive level of an activity. Here's another formative assessment that you could use, or an example here. This is one that I used in class actually. The students, we had been studying wolves in Yellowstone and talking about how evidence and different things can support your different reasons. So, and how the author supports reasons using different evidence. And so then in the end, they were asked to do this assignment. I explain the assignment with some learning targets, and then I give a rubric on how they'll be graded. So make sure you go ahead and take some time to read through, check this all out, and then there's my rubric down below. And then you can also click on the example and see an example of the finished product here. So this is definitely has them, as you could see in the assignment with the rubric here, it definitely has them do some lower level in here, because this is what we had already done. We did some locating, some identifying, but then they got up to the explaining, and then in this slideshow, they were actually creating a Google slideshow and supporting it with evidence from the text. So that's getting up to the highest levels of the Bloom's taxonomy, and that's where we want to be. So your assignments, first of all, hopefully you did this prior to this movie, but if not, that's okay. In your reading reflections, there's 6 apps that target higher order thinking that you will be reading and writing a reflection on. Then next, you're going to be looking at those Common Core assessments and doing the 2 trials and giving the discussion board on the 2 of them. Next, you're going to go ahead and click here for the formative assessment creation. This is your main assignment for this week. It'll be worth, I believe, 25 points. So you're going to create 2 different formative assessments with technology this week to fit 1 or 2 of your previous created lessons. They can fit previous lessons, 1 lesson, or different lessons. That's completely up to you. Assessment 1 should use lower level thinking skills in the assessment, so the lower 3 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. And the assessment 2 needs to use higher level thinking skills using the 3 higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So they need to be creating something, evaluating something. If you're unsure of what I'm talking about there, just go back to the Bloom's taxonomy wheel and look at these verbs here. Assemble, construct, create, design, develop, formulate, write. If they are doing one of those things, it's up at this creating level. That's the highest, the best level, okay? If they're down here where they're just defining something or listing it or memorizing it or repeating or doing multiple choice, that's going to be down here in the remembering, maybe a little bit of understanding, but definitely not any higher than that. So here again is your lesson. So you're going to do 2 different assessments, 1 lower level, 1 higher level. Please post your links to both of your assessments in the discussion board below and review at least 2 of your peers' assessments. Here are some different examples here too. For a lower level, I have a Google form that I've made, and a higher level is that Wolf's Google slideshow. Okay. Also, another thing I want to bring up is your classroom observations. 3 and 4 are starting now, and they need to be done by the end of the semester. So I just added 1/3 question here. After you are in the classroom, I want you now, since you've seen so many technology tools, answer this question of, is there anything you would have done differently to incorporate technology into this classroom? So if that was your lesson, how could you have upped the technology use? Okay. If you did not get full points from your last one, it's probably because you only got 1 of the 2 hours completed. So you can still go back and finish those. You can go back and finish those and get your 3rd one, okay? Other than that, though, I'm not going to allow much as far as completion. If you've missed discussion boards and stuff like that, you guys are college students. You guys need to be responsible for getting all of your assignments done. Schoology keeps that pretty easy for you. It lets you know when things are due. So, if you have any questions on your midterm or anything like that, I will be passing out rubrics to you so you know exactly how you, the score you got and why you got that score next week. Other than that, I think that you guys are doing great, so keep up the hard work. Thanks.